Soldiers have seized power in Guinea, overthrowing the government of President Alpha Conde. Special forces commanded by Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya announced Conde's arrest on Sunday, confirmed in this video shared by a military source. Gunfire was heard in the capital Conakry, though authorities did not confirm media reports of deaths. The new military leaders dissolved government and the constitution that Conde pushed through last year. This allowed him to run for a third term in office and was met with months of deadly protests. A former opposition leader, Conde became Guinea's first democratically elected president in 2010. His perceived drift to authoritarianism contributed to his fall a decade later. The soldiers who seized power on Tuesday released dozens of political prisoners. A spokesman said they want to end financial mismanagement, poverty and endemic corruption in the country, which is one of the poorest in the world despite a wealth of water and mineral resources. Guinea has the world's largest reserves of bauxite, the main mineral used to produce aluminium. On Wednesday, global aluminium prices reached a 13-year high. Colonel Doumbouya says the junta will form a transitional government joining different sectors of society.
We want to place the transition that is beginning under the sign of hope and a new Guinea, reconciled with itself, with all the sons of the country.
Joyful celebrations followed the coup in the streets of Conakry, particularly in the opposition stronghold of Bambeto.
I am very, very happy. We came here out of joy.
We are behind Doumbouya. We still support him. Good luck to him, because he will properly sort out the country. We're really counting on him.
Meanwhile, the United Nations, the African Union and former colonial power France condemned the putsch. The West African group of nations, ECOWAS, suspended Guinea. The coup has sparked fears of democratic backsliding across the region, where military strongmen are an increasingly familiar sight. In neighboring Mali, Colonel Assimi Goïta seized power twice in under a year. He, too, was a special forces commander. Crushing defeat for Morocco's long-ruling Islamists in parliamentary elections. Prime Minister Saad Eddine Al-Othmani's Justice and Development Party, which headed the ruling coalition for a decade, saw its support collapse from 125 seats in the outgoing assembly to just 12. This according to partial results. The big winners were liberal parties seen to be close to the palace. King Mohammed VI is set to ask Agriculture Minister Aziz Hanouch, one of the country's richest men, to form a new government. But the Prime Minister's power is limited in a country of 36 million people. Strategic decisions still remain with the monarch. In the end, Jacob Zuma did not stay in this prison for long. The former South African president started an 18-month sentence for contempt of court on July 8. But he has been in hospital for a month and on Sunday was granted medical parole. This means that when he leaves hospital, he can go home. The 79-year-old still enjoys considerable grassroots support, and his imprisonment sparked deadly riots and mass looting. The news comes days before the restart of Zuma's trial on corruption charges. President Cyril Ramaphosa, who defeated Zuma's camp to head the ruling ANC party, welcomed his parole. But the opposition and activists slammed the decision as political rather than medical.
It would come as no surprise to anyone if this issue of medical parole is now going to be used by Mr. Zuma and his legal team as a pretext to say that he is not fit to stand trial on these fraud and corruption charges, and that he ultimately never faces those charges in a court of law. It would be highly unfortunate if that were to be the case.
Zuma's corruption trial was postponed from Thursday to 20 September, pending an investigation into his health.
Amakaha fled bandit attacks and kidnapping in central Nigeria's agricultural belt. This year, the rice farmer will have to make do with an 8-hectare plot near Makurdi, the capital of Benue State. It pales in comparison with the vast, fertile land he had to abandon 2 hours away.
I do about 100 hectares of farm. I was there for many years. But this year, I was unable to reach my farm after plowing, harrowing.
He is one of many who have deserted their farms in a region known as the breadbasket of Nigeria. But it is also the setting of deadly clashes over land. Farmers blame herders' livestock of destroying their fields. Both sides attack each other. Climate change and population explosion in a country of 200 million people only makes things worse. The conflict has grown into a serious security crisis with bandit attacks and ransom kidnappings.
So this insecurity now has displaced everybody. We were not able to farm. Do you understand? So this place you see is where I'm managing to feed my family. I managed to harvest some maize.
More than 9 million Nigerians could face food insecurity this year, according to the United Nations. The state governor and member of an opposition party warns the entire country's economic growth is at risk.
If you have more than 1.5 million people who are displaced and cannot go to their ancestral home, where they do their farming, it becomes a big challenge. It is amazing the level of destruction and disruption of farming activities.
What's more, the crop shortages are driving up food prices, which rose by more than 22% in June. According to this economist, Nigeria must reopen borders that were closed to fight food smuggling and drive down coronavirus infections.
When you open the borders, you bring in enough for the local market and the price will be forced to go down. Until we're able to produce enough of these food items, the price will never go down. And are we able to produce them right now? No, because the farmers are not there and there is nothing to protect them in their farms.
But farmers in Benue State want the government to solve the conflict instead of importing food to bring down prices. They hope one day to feed their country again, themselves.